Hello, this is Will Faerber from Art to Ride, and today we're looking at a first submission by Sarah of her horse Luna. Luna is an 8-year-old Irish sport horse who she had had some difficulty with. She said she had stopped wanting to move freely forward, sounds like, and she'd been doing a lot of lateral work, and the horse was getting very stuck and overbent. So once again, we must always remember that the horse free forward flowing movement is the most important thing that we establish with the horse. If anything that we are doing in terms of exercises end up stopping the horse up, obviously they're bad for the horse and bad for the training. So if we want to keep that free forward flow all the time, and anything that as soon as we feel something impede that, we have to come back and reestablish that nice big forward swing, for instance, in the walk, which she's doing pretty well here. She still has a little bit of that look like she's a little stuck in mud. That is, her hind legs look like they're pulling up out of something sticky, so to speak. Instead of just really stepping forward and swinging. I do see a little bit of hesitation there. If you watch how the back legs move there with this horse, she tends to step with the right, and then there's kind of a hesitancy to the arc of the left hind leg. So, and I saw the same thing in the trot work on this horse, so I'm not sure. I see a little something going on, and when you go in one direction in the trot on the left, she looks a little suspiciously unlevel, so to speak, whereas the other direction she looks quite good. So I think you have something that needs to be addressed there. It could just be a bridle lameness. By what I mean by that is simply where the horse just is so out of whack on one side, so to speak, that the horse looks a little off, which sometimes can be it. But you know, it looks a little more like something more than that, if I'm just not sure what, without an examination. So this is a horse I would suggest if you have a good chiropractor in your area. Take a look at this horse, because she's definitely not even from side to side, and that should be addressed and maybe part of your problem. And of course, you know, that can be caused by many different things, including saddle fits, shoeing, all of these kinds of things that can affect it, or there could be actually something wrong with the horse there. So we want to get that addressed as soon as you can. If you have, as I said, if you have a good reliable and reputable chiropractor, I would suggest starting there with a little look at the horse. Now here the walk is looking a little better, but still it's very hesitant in the step behind. She's not really working over her back as much as she could. Now as you get her stretching there, you notice this, the deeper she stretches, the better it looks. So keep working towards that stretch, and that may solve the problem all in itself. But when I see one as different from side to side as this one, I tend to want to think there may be something more going on there. Now, in your leg yield here, one thing I want to point out is that maybe part of your problem is lateral work. See how your hands are going out to the left? That's the wrong way. Your hands should be going to the right in the leg yield, so the horse moves into the outside rein. So what you were doing there was really a rein yield, almost like neck reining a Western horse, than it was a leg yield. So remember, the reins move in the direction of the side of the bend when you are leg yielding. So if you're leg yielding to the left, the horse is bent to the right, your hands move to the right. Because the idea is we're moving the horse from the inside leg into that outside rein, rather than just pushing the horse over with the rein, which tends to bend the neck and not the back. So same thing here. You're putting your hand, you're doing the leg yield the other way, but your hands are going in the wrong direction. So your hands want to go to the left, not to the right. So we move the horse into the rein. So the horse moves off of the leg, not the rein. That's why we call it a leg yield and not a neck or rein yield. So hands in the opposite direction for that. Once again here, the walk just needs to be more active and swinging. It's gotten a little better as you're going there, and the step looks a little more even now, and she is stretching a little bit deeper there, though it still needs to be much deeper than it is, and I feel like she's still not really giving you her back there. So a longer stretch in the walk is what is necessary. I don't know how much you're stretching on the lunge line, that is on your shin bone in the walk, but it's a good idea to do a lot of that. So we see in this direction is what I'm talking about. There is something going on here with this horse. So we see she's just not quite happy, and see how she keeps wanting to throw that head up there a little bit. So it looks to me like something is going on there a little bit more than a bridle lameness. I'm just not sure, though. Once again, without a complete examination by somebody who knows what they're doing, we wouldn't be able to say that. But if you have a good chiropractor in your area, I think this horse could certainly use to see one. See what I'm talking about there, how she keeps wanting to wag her head there a little bit. And she just doesn't want to get even. If you watch those hind legs, they don't move through evenly, and there's a hesitancy as she brings her head up each time. So there's something a little going on here. Now it may be that if you get her to stretch deeper, that will disappear, but it looks so good on the other side that it just seems to me like it's something a little more than that. So once again, for this work to be effective here, she would need to be much deeper in this stretch in the trot. She has moments, and that may be part of what your problem is in terms of getting her consistently, because of course consistent in the stretch. Because if the horse is off a little bit somewhere, has something impeding her movement, and now once again that can be so many different things. It could be a foot problem, a joint problem someplace. It could be just simply that the horse is so not working over its back that it just has an irregularity because it can't get right. But when I see ones that, like this one, that tends to be, she looks quite good in the other direction when you get going that way. So it makes me wonder that there isn't something going on somewhere with this one. Though that stretch is looking a little better as you're going. So one of the biggest problems that we have in working horses correctly is just being sure that that they're able to work correctly, that there isn't some little problem going on somewhere in a joint, or it can be, once again, a saddle can make a horse look like this as well. So the horse may have a big shoulder on one side and the saddle is impeding on the shoulder movement on one side only. All those things, I could definitely suggest that you take a look at my wife's saddle fitting lecture on the site and for yourself, and kind of look over your own tack and see what you get there. Now this is a little bigger trot, but I just feel like this horse is uncomfortable somewhere, and that's what's causing her to toss her head like this in this direction. She is constantly bobbing up, and when it's constant like that, it usually means there's something going on. Now it could be something, neck out of alignment, a vertebrae in the back. There's so many things that can cause that. And you can see that she is a little dip behind your saddle there, so her back is pretty dropped. So we want to be sure that we try to figure out what this physical problem is before we're really going to be able to proceed, and just be sure there isn't something keeping her from working correctly. So back to the walk here. Once again, it's still a little slow and molasses-like. This might be a good horse, once again, on the lunge, really get behind her and really try to make that walk stretch out and swing. Do a lot of walk work in your shambone and just really get the horse stretching out and active. She looks a little uncomfortable carrying weight here. Now we see in this direction that head bobbing is not as pronounced. See, she's more stable and level and actually able to come through much better in this direction. So you definitely want to go back and figure out what is causing that, and just be sure that there isn't some structural problem happening that's causing that problem. Definitely looks better in this direction. Definitely still needs to stretch more than she's doing. She's not really over her back here in this trot, and we need to get it deeper and more active and swinging more actively. Now you can, if it helps, ride with the shambone on. There's nothing wrong with that, and especially you find that she really gets stretching in the shambone, and that's what really does it for her. And especially at the walk, it certainly is not going to hurt her at all to work in the shambone. You can work in the trot in the shambone as well. But now see, this stretch is starting to look better, and we see how even the horse looks on this side. She doesn't have that wobbly kind of side-to-side look that she has in the other one, where she just really gets irregular and the head really is bobbing with almost every step there. So she's definitely more comfortable in this direction, and that's something you really want to work out before we go much further. And now see, this is starting to look really good. This is what we'd like it to look on the other side. So once again, as I said, I think we need to figure out what's causing that problem, because she's looking good on this side. And we often see that, a horse that's uncomfortable on its feet for one reason or another is not going to want to stretch onto them. We had that problem with Zoolander. When we got him, his feet were very, very bad, and it's taken us a couple of years just to begin to get them straightened out, and he wouldn't want to stretch because his feet were sore. So, a horse that doesn't want to stretch is not going to want to swing forward and really swing out, because the faster they go, of course, the more it is uncomfortable for them. So this work is looking pretty good. And if I saw this same work on the other side, I would say you're on the right track, which I think you are, but I just think we need to figure out what's going on with this horse a little bit in the other direction before we can ask her to do too much. Now this is looking really good. Now we're getting a nice even stride here. She's starting to swing. She still needs to stretch deeper, but it's certainly coming better than it was on the other side. And we're getting a more regular trot. Now, same thing, you might, if you see that, just lunge her, for instance, in a shambone or side range with just a surcingle and notch your saddle and, see if the saddle makes a difference. All these little things can make a big difference. We see a lot of horses have one shoulder that's bigger than the other, and if they're in the saddle that's, sort of equal on both sides, that big shoulder can be hitting the saddle and causing her to look a little funny. But see how good this looks. So this is all really good. There, that's the best you've gotten yet, right in there. That was really good coming through that corner. And nice downward transition. So this is Will Faerber from Art to Ride. Have a look at those things, and I look forward to seeing you next